Hi, welcome to Breaking Views. I'm here with Jacob. Jacob is 21 and running for mayor in Peterborough, Ontario.
And I speak to people door to door and they say, yeah, I've lived in Peterborough 40 years. It's really changed. And there's really a disconnect between people and people in positions of power. One of the professors said, you should run for mayor. I think I actually laughed at her at the time. I said, oh yeah, you're joking. She said, no, I'm serious. You should try to change things up.
I don't know, it's just really fascinating. You're this young and you're trying to do something this big or this important.
Being young means that you can shake things up. You can exist in an environment that you want to build. Am I going first here?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with risky, meaningful one. Again, if you're too comfortable, what's the point? I think you step outside, you are political. You breathe the air, you're political. You walk on the sidewalk, you are political. That is a decision that has been made because you either voted or did not vote. You got involved and you spoke up, or you stayed silent. Things are going to happen with or without you. It's whether you're there and are part of that. That's one of the things that makes Peterborough so special, I think, is people and where we are and how it connects to everything else and how we are connected, I think. Yeah, I think it happened a couple times. I got more and more interested each time. The first time it happened was actually in a literature and social justice class at Trent University. One of the professors, I thought at the time in jest, said, you should run for mayor, because I was speaking about a particular topic.
Yeah.
And I think I actually laughed at her at the time. I said, oh yeah, you're joking. That's funny. I'm 19, I think I was at the time. And she said, no, I'm serious. You should try to change things up. And I guess since then, every time I saw something from city council or I saw a change that was being made that I didn't quite like, I thought, well, that's not right. Somebody needs to do something about this. Somebody needs to do something. And eventually I thought, well, what does it take to run for mayor? And I looked it up and I thought, okay, that's doable. What does that mean for me and how could I achieve that? And I kind of evaluated that and I thought, yeah, I'm 21. I'm going to be 21 when this happens. I was 20 at the time. I found out you need to get signatures. I thought, okay, what are the issues that Peter was facing? I thought I was pretty, I guess, connected more than I saw counselors being at the time. I kind of watched meetings and I thought, well, that's not really what I would be asking at that time. That's not really connected to what Peterborough is experiencing. And from that, I thought I could run. Maybe that professor was right. And from that, I guess I looked at the issues and I started canvassing from there. It was really just a matter of Peterborough wasn't really connected as I thought it once was.
Yeah.
I grew up, I'm 21, and I speak to people door to door and they say, yeah, I've lived in Peterborough 40 years. It's really changed. And I said, I've seen that change. Obviously I was 10 when they're talking about it, but I grew up in Peterborough and I've seen it change for better or for worse, but it's how we are now and what we can do to, I guess, progress forward from where we are now. And I think that there's really a disconnect between people and people in positions of power, which I thought I could either sit back and say, and shake my fist and say, oh, well, that's not right. Or I could jump in feet first.
Yeah. Oh no, that is quite beautiful because the thing is, it's a town where it's I actually find it ironic that the idea, not necessarily the idea, but the first grain of thought came from a teacher, because usually teachers or professors are very, I think they have a very, narrow mindset in terms of, you need to have so much experience on doing this before you try to do it, rather than just try to do it. And even though I have this idea and I want to do it, I learn as I go. So it's nice she kind of put that grain of thought in your head, because not a lot of people encourage young people to go into things that are usually predominantly, filled with people in the Middle Ages, or probably people of a millennial age at this time, where they're in their 30s or 40s or 50s. So that's actually really nice.
I think one of my strengths is that these people with experience might be a little more set in their ways than I am. I think even from May, when I filed my papers, to now in July, it's really an experience for me to learn from people. I obviously was connected beforehand with people and I understood people, but it's going to businesses and asking, hey, what's wrong? And they say, nobody's ever came to me before.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked that it's a major business. It's something that I see as a community hub, and nobody's ever stepped foot through the door and said, what's your opinion? What would you like to see change?
And it's ironic in a town in this town where it's like you could get anywhere in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, the distance between maybe like the um the Peterborough, probably the mayor, the building where he stays. I don't know what the name is, I'm sorry. But that
City
place,
Hall, yeah.
City Hall, yeah, to everywhere else is like 30 minutes away, or it's 1 hour away, or it's like surrounded by so many guards where people can't really access and stuff like that. You're right there in the center, and you could just walk around, and you could walk a good 20 to 30 minutes and you've covered like most of downtown Peterborough.
Absolutely.
So it's, I think it's not necessarily I don't think it's not being able to. I think they don't try at all. That's yeah. And you also make people feel welcomed in that sense. I don't think he can tell you how many businesses have shut down within the last 2 months. I know I can because I'm there. I know most of us can because we're there, right?
You drive down the streets of Peterborough and you point, that used to be this place, that used to be.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, for multiple reasons, but most of them are that it's no longer a place where businesses feel like they can operate, which is not really.
Yeah. It's not right at all.
It's not right. Yeah.
Because they're small businesses. If small businesses can't function, then I don't think, because I think they're the cornerstone of the, community at the end of the day. Small businesses. Yeah.
I mean, Peterborough was built on big business and places like GE. And I think it's important that we recognize that we're pivoting. And as much as we value big businesses like Quaker, it's important to also value the independence of small businesses and the power that they have and the jobs that they can create.
Okay.
I think it's a little bit troublesome, though. I've spoken with small businesses where you say, what's the problems they're facing you? And one of the things they say is, we had a job opening for a baker and 400 people applied. And you go, that's not right.
Yeah, makes no sense.
Yeah, that's not right. And I've experienced the job market myself, and a lot of young people are. And it's a question of, why aren't people spending money? Well, you don't have any money to spend. It's not right. And things need to change, and it needs to be more of a priority than it is.
No, it actually really needs to change. But I think we need to probably speak to the audience a little bit to introduce the podcast. Hi, welcome to Breaking Views. I'm MJ, as usual, and I'm here with Jacob. I want you to pronounce your last name for me. I don't want to butcher it.
It's okay. It's Jacob Méthot. May is in the month of May, and then King Tut is how I tell people it's French.
Méthot.
Méthot.
Okay. Jacob is 21 and running for mayor in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada, in case you're outside Canada. And I brought him here today, or invited him here today to kind of, not necessarily chat about politics, but chat about the mindset of him going into politics and, how we view today's landscape and everything. And, maybe you could also have an idea of what he has to offer in terms of like his campaign. And we could, speak in a very, unbiased, point of view. Usually when we start our podcast, we start with like a rapid fire where I throw up like, questions, and you just kind of let me know what is the first, thought that comes to your head.
Okay.
So it's
put me on the spot.
Yeah, one word answer. It's easy going. I think the hard questions will probably come later.
Okay.
But like, this is just like, I'll just throw a little bit of fun, not fun questions, and you just kind of let me know what you think. So are you a morning or like a night owl?
Well, I used to be more of a morning person, but I think it all depends on the day and what I have planned. So I think I need less sleep more now than ever. I need more sleep, but I get it less. I think definitely more of a night person, though.
I see. What's one word your friends would use to describe you?
Tall, I think, is what I'm told a lot. But I think personality-wise is probably a little goofy.
Okay, that's good. Well, we could probably relate on that one too. The last book you actually finished.
The last book I actually finished. Oh, now that's a challenge. I think I reread recently Sunrise on the Reaping.
Oh, okay.
But the last book I finished was, I think, Pride and Prejudice.
Okay. First job you ever had?
First job I ever had was working at Wendy's as a grill cook. Worked there for a couple months. Got way too many burns. I was a klutz.
Builds character. Yes. I could show you my burns too, but yeah, it builds character, especially working like in the as a cook or yeah. you get to deal with a lot of like people and like, yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's not nice and nice at the same time.
I think working any front-facing job, you get to
Yeah,
experience
yeah.
life
It's
differently.
just thrown in your face, like,
Yeah.
yeah, whether you like it or not. What compliments means the most to you? Like, which particular compliment means the most to you?
I like compliments that talk about, I think, a character or a choice about somebody rather than something that isn't out of their control, I guess. So if
I
I'm complimented
see.
about like a choice I made, then I think that means more to me. I might be that might be a little too vague, but I think saying, "Oh, that was like a nice thing for you to do," I think
Yeah,
that's a nice compliment rather than saying, "Oh, I really like this about you
about
that's out of your
you.
control. I
Oh,
like
I
your blue
see.
eyes," isn't really much of a compliment. Whereas like,
Yeah, because that, yeah, I
I
was
have
just
no
born
control
with
over
this. Yeah,
my blue eyes. Yeah.
fair enough. What is something people get wrong about you, do you feel?
I think experience. I've been
Yeah,
challenged a lot door to door campaigning or just in general. It's like, oh, well, you're really young, but I think experience comes in more than just age. I think a lot of people get experience wrong in that way, where
yeah,
you can be experienced in understanding people and understanding Peterborough for what it is, rather than, I guess, um, life experience is more
yeah,
rich than just
yeah.
age experience, I guess.
And I also feel like it's also kind of a slippery slope because, like, I feel like just I feel I've met 19-year-olds that I've probably experienced more than 50-year-olds, not in terms of years, but in terms of like the volume of things that happened to them in like in that short, space of time. But I also feel like I think it's someone's ability to probably just empathize and care that should matter in that sense. Like, I feel like the whole experience thing is overrated in certain aspects.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you make the mistakes and then you grow from it. And you could make the mistakes at any time. Doesn't matter if you're 30 or 12 or 11. Yeah. So,
absolutely. And being able to grow from mistakes, I think, is a stronger
yeah.
uh, way of character
So,
or like a
yeah,
method of
and
character than
experience. Because
just
you could,
saying,
yeah,
this is the way things are and
yeah,
they always are going to be this way.
uh-huh,
It's like, what can we do to change this and
uh-huh,
what can
yeah.
be added onto?
Kind of doesn't make any sense. But the last question on this rapid fire would be, what would you describe leadership as?
Leadership is often, I think, mischaracterized as leading from the top down, where I think,
Yeah,
as much as it sometimes is a stereotype, it's about leading together and um, getting a whole opinion. Even if you
yeah,
don't agree, you have to
yeah,
keep the doors open. You have to let people talk to you, and you have to have, I think, a holistic experience of this side is saying this side, this thing, this side is saying the other. What can I do to understand both positions and get them to, I guess, cooperate and see how they're seeing each other and see
yeah.
how, um, I guess, they're being experienced from the outside. I think saying this is the way that things should be done is not the way to lead. Leading, I think, in a traditional sense, is understanding people and
Yeah.
moving forward together rather than ordering people.
Interesting. He just basically described breaking views, like the point of breaking views. I think we should have hired him like at the beginning to like make our model or something. But like it's that's actually a beautiful way to put it because I haven't heard someone put leadership in that perspective before. Because usually it's I would hear leadership is responsibility, which it is. So, but hearing it from your perspective, which is, you know, kind of, hearing all the perspectives and then, you kind of like filtering out what, you know, is not necessarily what matters, but what is, necessary to do at this point of time and others is very, very key at the
Yeah,
end of the day.
it's a very solemn role, like not,
Yeah.
I guess, in a sad way, but you have to take it very seriously and
Yeah.
understand that like people are looking to you to hear their voice and
Yeah.
understand them in a way that nobody else has before. And if you fail to do that, then you're not really a strong leader.
This is like the point where like I get you to eat food
Okay.
and and I have like I baked a cake today. It's double chocolate, walnut, and blueberry cake.
Okay.
Yeah, and I usually have the guests kind of try them out, just a little bit to kind of welcome them into our space, and yeah, just you go ahead, it's
Okay.
yours. You tell me what you think, and we move on to the probably next section, which is the meat of this podcast. It's called The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. And in this part, we kind of like play games and also answer questions at the same time.
Okay.
So what we do is I get the guests to kind of pick what they would want to start with, if it's the good, bad, or the ugly, bad, good, or bad, good, ugly, like, whichever, format they would want it to be. So I would like to say the good has like easygoing questions, but I would say I put a good amount of like,
I like to be challenged.
heavy questions in
Okay.
between everything else. But the fun of it is just kind of like, seeing how we can both like just think on our feet and just, I feel like you find it easy to lie less when you're like, just put on the spot. And
Yeah,
when you're like,
absolutely.
so you get to see someone's real point of view in that sense. So I'll leave it to you to kind of pick what you want to start with, and then we'll probably move on to that section.
Let's start with the ugly, I guess.
Okay, start with the ugly, and so we'll move on, and then we'll get on that. Okay, the ugly. So this game I have here is it's a game. It's a game the both of us will play together.
Okay.
So every question I'll read like 4 words. I think all the 4 words will kind of relate to each other in terms of like not necessarily synonymous, but you could use them in certain contexts. And I would like you to kind of like you pick 2 from the 5 and you toss 3, depending on how important
Okay.
the 2 are.
So pick 2 of the questions or the, yeah,
No,
okay.
2 of the words.
Oh,
And
okay.
you toss 3 of the words. So like, for example, the first one I have here is I'll say integrity, courage, empathy, vision, and humility. And you kind of pick 2 out of the 5 and toss the rest of the 3.
Okay, do you want me to answer right now?
You could, yeah.
I'm gonna go with integrity and empathy. I think some of them fit into the other ones,
Yeah,
but I think part of being a leader is being empathetic and understanding people.
yeah,
And I think also the other part of the leader is having integrity and saying, no, that's not right, and this needs to change.
yeah,
And understanding people as a person yourself, and as somebody who lives in Peterborough and understands Peterborough, you need to
yeah.
do it with empathy and also do it with integrity. As much as everything else is obviously still
Yeah,
important, but I think those 2 are probably the most important.
yeah. Probably I didn't probably look at it from a leader's perspective. I just chose courage and empathy because I feel like you need to empathize because, you need to see
And
things.
courage to make strong
Yeah,
choices. Yeah,
strong
absolutely.
choices. I think, you need to be able to kind of like strong choices for, in terms of like doing what you need to do, and also strong choices in terms of like, just, yeah, for people at the end of the day. So, yeah, but I get your perspective with the integrity because it is very, very important too,
Yeah.
because there's that fine line. And once you kind of go out of that line, you definitely, you keep shifting the goalpost, right?
Yeah, but
So,
something I've heard a lot of people say for sure is that I want somebody who just stands up and says, "This is what I'd like to see.
yeah,
Tell me your thoughts, and this is what we're going with. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work." And
work.
kind of stand
Yeah,
up for it. I think that's definitely an important, I think, way of looking at things. But integrity is for sure also important to remain neutral, I think, and having
yeah,
integrity. Yeah,
yeah.
while doing so.
Okay. So this second set of 5 would be in relation to building a life. So I would mention relationships, financial security, purpose, freedom, and stability.
Again, some of these fit into the other ones, but I
Yeah.
think relationships for sure is important to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are we if not human and connected to each other,
Yeah.
either through love or hate,
Yeah.
and under building a connection with people. And the second one, I'm going to go with freedom. As much as obviously, as personally, I'm speaking, I think freedom to make decisions, and I think that's what makes Canada a great country is freedom to move
Yeah.
around, freedom to understand people. As
Yeah.
much as financial security is important, I think that you can go from completely broke to completely rich,
Yeah.
or completely rich to completely broke,
Yeah.
and you can not feel as fulfilled as a person. And there's lots of, I guess, stereotypes and movies about it.
Yeah.
But understanding yourself as a person and understanding yourself as somebody with relationships and freedom to choose and freedom to move around and be who
No,
you are.
I really like that because I also those were the 2 I also kind of thought in my head too, because like relationships, because I always feel like wherever you are, it's always the people. Yeah, and also like with freedom, it's just, I think it's just a necessity. You need to be able to have that freedom to kind of decide whether this is important to you at the moment or not, whether it be in money, whether it be in relationships, whether it be in work or whatever it is. So, I think life without freedom isn't living at all, right?
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
it's a poor quality of life. Um, how about for this? It's changing a community. I would just throw this at you. So it's better education, affordable housing, strong local businesses, community engagement, and public safety?
I think the two again, everything I think is a priority.
Related,
So
yeah.
picking the top two is very important.
Yeah.
But I think affordable housing is something that affects me personally and affects thousands of people across Peterborough.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to live in Peterborough at an affordable rate and a safe
Yeah.
rate. I think that's part of the problem. People are stuck accepting places where you're living where it's not really safe. I've
Yeah.
knocked on apartment buildings, unfortunately, and I'm connecting this, I guess, back to my personal experience where
Yeah.
later in the day there was a stabbing in somebody's head. I'm
Yeah.
not going to name this building, but it's probably easily guessable.
Yeah.
I think it was shocking that I was knocking on door to door and people said, "You're knocking here? Like, do you know about this place?" And said, "I don't feel safe here." And they went on to describe how they don't feel safe, and that was every single door. And they don't. I said, "And you probably can't move anywhere." And they said, "No,
Yeah.
I can't move anywhere." So I think being able to afford housing is important, but it's also like it blends into community safety. But I
Yeah.
think the second thing that I'd choose is for sure community building, because being able to advocate for yourself. And I know it's happened in Peterborough where they were turning into condos, and being able to have a community that says, "No, we don't want that. We want to stay as apartment buildings because we can't afford condos."
Yeah.
And being able to say, "We're a community, we stand up for this, and this is what we fight for." And being able to argue on that behalf and from that
Yeah.
perspective or viewpoint is very important. I'm curious what you chose though.
I chose like the strong local businesses and
Okay.
also affordable housing too, because I feel like I think yeah, I think with affordable housing, I think if we kind of are thinking about the freedom aspect, I think also kind of thinking about people, okay, I don't want to live here, I want to live somewhere else. And when you start to think about money when you're moving within a small town, it kind of defeats the purpose of staying in a smaller town, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's a smaller town. You would expect housing to be a bit more accessible. There are a lot more families here who would want to kind of take care of their kids and, have that kind of nice quality of life. You're not really in the city where there's a lot, things are a bit more expensive, and you kind of understand from that perspective. So I think affordable housing is really, really important for me, and
Yeah.
period. And also, um, I'm also kind of biased to that too, because me and my one of our team members, Nasima, we did our final thesis at Trent was an analysis on affordable housing in more than 12 municipalities in Ontario. And then we actually found that Peterborough is the unemployment capital of Ontario.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
It's
yeah,
it's really a shame, and
yeah,
it's an embarrassment for Peterborough, and a lot of people want to see that
it
change.
is
And
crazy.
I think we're also number one, if not, I think we got knocked down to number two, but it's still no better because it was by 0.1%. But
Yeah.
we're at 1% on occupancy rate
Yeah.
in recent studies, which means that again, people can't find a place to live
Yeah.
or a place to move to.
And it's crazy. And one of the key findings we even found was the more houses are like getting more expensive, the lesser people are even earning, which kind of doesn't make any sense.
No.
Like you would wonder how houses are getting more expensive if there's nobody to buy these houses. And it's like, yeah. So yeah, those two are really the first ones that really just popped in my head. And the last one I would throw at you is a young person's confidence. And like if I throw out like confidence as a word, curiosity, discipline, connection, and resilience, what would you say?
I'm going to go with curiosity and connection.
Yeah.
I think confidence is for sure important. You can
Yeah.
be confident all you like, but if
Yeah.
you're not curious
Yeah.
while you're confident, that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
And I
Jesus.
think, especially as a young person, you have to be connected. And I think
Yeah.
I'm connected as I can be, and I'm trying to be more connected.
Yeah.
And being curious helps me do that. And approaching people and asking questions that maybe other people aren't asking, or
Yeah.
asking people that aren't even being asked. Being curious about where you are and who you are and what Peterborough can do for you or what can be changed.
Yeah.
Along with being able to connect with people and understanding them on a personal level rather
Yeah.
than just as a number, which I think
Yeah.
happens way too often.
It happens way too often. And even for me, like I was really torn while reading this because like I'm a very curious person. I feel like it's why I do what I do, like in terms of jobs and in terms of this too. I'm like, so that I always put number one. Connections too, same thing. But then I always kind of put connections within curiosity in a way.
Yeah.
And I would say I really like resilience in the sense of like, you keep making a mistake, but you keep, you keep learning from it. You keep
Yeah.
getting back up, doing something over and over again. It's very, very important in my opinion. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed your answers in this. It's quite eye opening. I
Thank you.
have and like, can you remember like I know you kind of said this at the beginning where you said you kind of mentioned about like you being in class and your teacher kind of pointed out that, oh, you could run for mayor, and kind of encouraging you in that perspective. But like, can you remember another time where you were just like, I I should really stop complaining right now, and
Yeah.
I should
Um,
get on it myself.
I think part of it is going back to connections and having a connection. I think, most influenced when a very unfortunate incident happened when
Yeah.
the mayor felt comfortable enough, I guess, to go into Trent University
Yeah.
and say the N word.
Yeah.
That was so shocking to me. But I think, as shocking as that was, I was also, I guess, thinking about the engagement that I got from other students and how it was engaging them, I guess, on a more personal level. That they were
Yeah.
like, our mayor, like the person who's elected to
Yeah.
represent us,
Yeah.
felt comfortable enough to say that.
Yeah.
And I think it blew up. I think both connections wise and online, where people were thinking, is this who we want representing us, and is
Mhm.
this somebody who is capable and who should continue to?
Yeah.
And I kind of thought, well, what else is there? Like, as much as I was focusing on that and I was thinking, well, that shouldn't happen, but if he's making that decision, what else is happening?
Yeah.
And of course, pickleball courts was another thing, and it's
Yeah.
something I hear a lot. It's, I think, interesting to think about how students are more engaged with that, particularly, and rightly so. I'm not saying that's not right, but thinking about how you can say, this is very important and this needs to change. What else can be done,
Yeah.
and what else affects you? And we need to make sure that people in positions of power are held more accountable than they already are.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, eye-opening for me in that level, and the amount of outcry that it got, rightly so again, was very interesting to me, because it spoke to a level of community that can come together
Yeah.
and that already exists within Peterborough
It
to
was
say,
beautiful to see, actually. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the person who talked to you beforehand, all
Yeah.
said that they were one of the people who spoke out and wrote a documentary about
Yeah.
it, and it was just such a big shock.
Yeah.
And I think moving forward from that and learning from it is very important in terms of how we can hold elected officials accountable
Yeah.
and continue to do so, and not just brush things under the rug, and understand that some things you have to say are not okay no matter what. And
Yeah.
that's one of them.
And also, I feel like the people in those positions should kind of like welcome accountability, right? I feel like a lot of them shy away from accountability a lot. And I'm like, you're in a position of power. Like, if
Yeah.
you're not held accountable, then yeah, it's
And
you.
there's a lot of ways
How
that
are you going to know what's right or wrong?
they're shutting out the accountability, which
Yeah.
is just not right. And more needs to be done. I'm trying to draw attention to that, I guess. But that was kind of like the second thing where I went, oh, like this is Peterborough. This is the Peterborough that I'm living in, and this is the mayor who feels comfortable to say that,
Yeah.
and that's not okay. And I recognize that I'm a white guy, and making that my strong point
Yeah.
necessarily. I don't want to say like, oh, I'm fighting on your behalf, but I'm understanding it um, as a way to get the community engaged in more ways than one, and understanding that things need to be
Yeah.
happening that aren't happening. Like,
Yeah.
change needs to happen. And if I can, I guess, generate a same level of outcry that things need to change, I think I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
I guess is the thing that sort of sparked it.
And speaking of even like you like kind of relating to like people's concerns, and also kind of like you feeling outraged yourself. Like, I'm sure like we've said it before already, right? He's 21 and you're still at Trent, right? And you mentioned you were coming into your fourth final year, and I'm sure like your classmates are probably prepping for like internships or the second phase of their lives if they want a further education or get jobs and stuff like that, and you're out here campaigning. And has like all this campaign and like the electoral process, has it make you made you feel more connected to their concerns, or like has it made you kind of like aware more about things that are just going on, and or do you kind of know more how uncertain the future is now?
I think I know more for sure, like how uncertain the future is. I think it connects me more, even if the students aren't here and I can't, or most of them, sorry, aren't here, and
Yeah,
I can't directly speak to most of them. I understand more about, I guess, the other side as a student myself, and
yeah,
how sometimes Trent and Fleming are both geographically and socially disconnected from Peterborough in a way that usually
yeah,
hasn't been the case.
yeah,
And I understand that more from the other side.
yeah,
And I can speak to them on the other side and say, well, this is why maybe it's a little bit more disconnected, and say that there's less of a reason or less of a pull to go downtown to explore Peterborough.
yeah,
I think understanding as a student while I'm campaigning, and they're probably thinking
yeah,
about fourth year, I think I get to do both, which
yeah,
really strengthens my ability to understand everybody in a way that most people aren't privileged enough to have.
yeah, and
And I
probably bring both
recognize,
together
yeah,
in that sense.
and I recognize my privilege to be able to do that. And
Yeah.
I'm thankful that I can, I guess, even just change one person's perspective. I'm
No,
happy.
yeah, it is because like I think I didn't really think about it too much till um like me and my friends, we finished up from Trent when we were kind of like and coming out of Trent and everything. We only realized the disconnect when we graduated and we were applying for jobs. And then we kind of sat down and we're like, hey, like I think we're just maybe a number for, for the school. Like, at the end of the day, you'd see percentages or like a 90 something percent average of students graduated and stuff like that. But how many quality graduates like did you like, not necessarily quality in terms of the graduates themselves, but quality in terms of like how many graduates ended up finding a job in their field, how many graduates came out with the confidence of, hey, I'm ready for the workforce, not necessarily life itself, because I think that's just perspective, individual, but like and I feel like that's really an issue that, we have like most of the population in Peterborough when school is in session is Trent. And Trent just feels like a separate country from
Yeah.
Peterborough's downtown itself, where, you like I speak to a lot of Trent students and like, oh, I've never seen you before. I'm like, do you walk around downtown? Do you go to places and like how many places in the community do you go to and stuff like that, engrave yourself? Because if you could feel comfortable in that hub
Yeah.
of like Trent itself, because there's food available, there's accommodation for you to live in, there's obviously parties there if you want to party. So I don't think in their head there's a reason to kind of come downtown and do anything.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I've spoken with business owners that have fourth year students come in, and
yeah,
they say, well, we just wanted to check it out, before we leave Trent.
yeah,
And it's really nice. And we wish we did it earlier, which is
yeah.
like really surprising to hear, but also like kind of expected, because it's almost a little too easy to just stay in your own little bubble at Trent.
It is.
And it's great to have a community at Trent, and I love the communities at Trent. And it's great to have connections, but at the same time, if you're, say, a first year, you don't really have a reason to go downtown.
Yeah,
If you want to have food that isn't at Trent, I think you can just skip the dishes now
yeah,
and convert it to Trent cash. So you
yeah,
can just stay in your room and have McDonald's delivered,
yeah,
instead of, I guess, walking downtown and seeing, oh, that's a nice store. That's a nice place to get some food. I'm gonna go try it out.
yeah,
And from there, you talk to the bartender, you talk to the waitress or server, and you say, what else is good around here, and
yeah.
you kind of build a community there.
hmm
It's really important. I think that needs to happen more.
It does. It actually does need to happen because it helps businesses more too, right? Like I've been in the hospitality enough to kind of know that. And I tell a lot of business owners too, I said, this is a student town. If you were able to tap into the students, I don't think you would ever be, you would have run out of business. Because like once the students know you exist, it's constant. They would keep coming, you know. And and I would say it goes both ways, right? Not just students too. I feel like business owners too. I don't think they try enough. They have this idea that, oh, they would come if the quality is there. But I'm like, no, you need to find the students too and meet them on the middle ground.
Yeah,
And I don't want to give free advertising, but there's a bakery downtown and they opened not too long ago, and I saw the owner like taking a lot of his baked goods to Trent in every event Trent does and stuff like that. And even now in the summer when students aren't around, he still gets traction
yeah,
because he brought himself and like kind of closed that gap in his sense, and like, so I feel like as much as maybe this doesn't really it does relate to the mayor or the government too himself, because I feel like they could do a lot better in kind of bringing people together in that sense, maybe organizing more community events.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about reaching people where they are at. And I think a lot of people don't understand that as a student, you have at the very least 40 hours of work. You have to read, you have to write, you have to attend classes and seminars, and you don't always have the time to explore. So if it's brought in front of you, like that bakery did, and you go, oh, that's a nice place, instead of saying, I have an hour, let's look around, I have an hour, let's go here.
Yeah.
And then maybe that bakery can suggest another place.
Yeah.
That, oh, that place has a really great pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just goes from there. And I think it's really a shame that that's not already happening. And I intend to, I guess, change that.
Yeah. This part of the podcast, this is the bad. This game I called the butterfly effect. So I'm gonna mention, like, I'm gonna say a statement, not necessarily a statement, maybe a full sentence, and I want you to kind of predict the consequence of what I say.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I throw a scenario that if every 18-year-old in, Peterborough, Canada in general, receives $10,000 to start either a business or continue their education, what do you think is gonna happen?
A lot of things would happen.
Yeah.
I think it wouldn't. It's the same with stimulus checks. I think it'd devalue our currency, understanding it from that perspective. But that's definitely not the answer that you're looking for. 18-year-olds. I was a former 18-year-old. You were a former 18-year-old. Depends on the person. Spends that money differently to start a business. I think a lot of young people have a lot of bright ideas, though.
Yeah.
And I think people would be surprised, at the very least, with how many new ideas would come together.
Yeah.
And that $10,000 would quickly turn into $100,000 if the right people came together and pooled their money and had ideas for progress. I think there's a lot of people out there willing to work and willing to put their nose to the grindstone and just get right down to it.
Yeah.
Of course, with anybody, if you were to give every 18-year-old $10,000, there would be a couple people who would probably spend it on upgrades to their car or something that isn't really business oriented.
Yeah.
But I think it's a problem, I guess, that you expect everybody to, or you expect a small few people to do the wrong thing. You're just not going to do it for everybody when you don't see the net positives.
Yeah. No, that's a pretty, I think it's a valid answer. I feel like the university would suffer in the sense of a lot of people would be like, nah, I'm not gonna continue my education. I have money now, so let me pursue something at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, $10,000 is also not that much.
Yeah, but when you put so much money in someone's hands, they're seeing it in their hands. It's, it changes perspective in a blink, in a second, rather than maybe saying 18,000, like, oh, I'm gonna send you 18,000. If someone just gives you 18,000 and says, oh, are you gonna continue your education? I think there'll be a bit more persuasion seeing it physically.
Relates back to the idea of like numbers or actual real things. If $10,000 cash looks a lot different than the number 10,000 written in your bank statement, for sure.
Yeah, because then maybe later on when they have the 18,000, like, wait, 18,000 is interesting. That's not.
You can picture it on the table.
Yeah. So I'll throw the second one. If every city, like Peterborough, for example, is required to publish how many internationally trained individuals, like a lot of I think Peterborough is a bit diverse now with immigrants and everything. And I feel there are a lot of immigrants in Peterborough who are working below their qualifications, probably because of how the job market is. If every city is required to publish that number, what do you think will happen? What do you think the consequence of that would be?
I think if every city were to publish the qualifications of people who are working under their pay grade, people would be surprised, and I think demanding a lot of change in terms of how you're evaluating those people and how you can quickly and efficiently get them into their actual jobs. For example, doctors. We need a lot of doctors and we need more healthcare workers. And the amount of healthcare workers that there are that unfortunately are working to drive somebody across town and drive a car, and when they could be saving a life and changing a life is really unfortunate. And I think there'd be more outcry about just how unfortunate the situation is. Of course, Canada has very rigorous qualifications, and rightly so in some cases. You need standards, but to, I think, start the process of evaluating people more efficiently
Yeah.
and more effectively, rather than forcing them through 8 years of schooling. You
Yeah.
can say, okay, you know this much.
Yeah.
Here's what you need to know for Canada.
Yeah.
Let's get you a job.
Do you think it's a good idea to make it a reality where like each city does this like a census every year?
Adding to I think the bureaucratic cost of making that a census might be a little high, but I think lobbying at the very least, the bare minimum standard, I guess, would be lobbying for it to be added to the census to say what your qualifications are from your home country. It would be very interesting to see, and I think people would not stay silent about it.
What do you think would happen if social media disappears for a month?
For a month? I think a lot of positive change would happen, a lot of negative at the same time. I think if social media were to disappear for a month, people would start connecting in ways that we've never connected before. Social media has been around for pretty much my entire life. It has affected my entire, I guess, conscious and active life. It would mean that you have to speak to people in a way that people haven't been spoken to before. You'd also feel a little bit alien because you can't connect to friends that are in a different province or hours away. But again, just social media means that you can still text them, but you don't have to compare yourself to a standard. And I think that's definitely an issue that young people are facing about saying this person's doing this. Oh, wow, I'm so behind, when really you aren't. And everybody takes things in their own way. And I think the comparison is the thief of joy is the quote there, that removing social media would definitely mean more people are engaged.
Okay. What if Peterborough doubles its population in 6 months?
Doubles its population in 6 months. We will unfortunately have a lot of people dying on the streets. There's not enough housing. We have 1% occupancy rate. If the population doubles in 6 months, you said? And that would turn into 160,000 people, which Peterborough does not have the availability for. But we would need to build a lot of housing, a lot of dense housing. It would very unfortunately probably break Peterborough.
He would be a terrible winner. And last one, every Canadian gets 1 free year to learn a new skill at any point in their life.
1 free year? We'd have a lot more arts. I think there's a lot of people who appreciate the arts, love the arts, can play the piano, can bake like yourself. But they unfortunately can't make that a financial possibility, where if you gave them a year to just train and get really great at it, they could say, I can quit my daytime job maybe and give it a shot to make art and make more progress. If you gave everybody 6 months or a year, if you gave everybody a year to perfect that skill, a lot would change.
I didn't know the population of Peterborough was 80,000.
Really? I thought
it was less, actually.
Yeah, I'm a little low. It obviously changes because there's the greater Peterborough area that have a lot of people circulating. So I think the population is a lot larger than people think. But I think that's the beauty of Peterborough, actually, and why I love it so much. Peterborough feels like a small town, but it has big connections and big possibilities.
Speaking of like even like learning and in Peterborough and everything, and also with your campaign, I know like throughout this process, I'm sure you're probably learning hard and fast. I'm sure things are just coming at you and you're just having to, take it and get up and keep going. And like, but throughout this campaign, have you ever is there anything a belief you had before it that now that you've actually started the campaign, you're kind of like almost embarrassed about how wrong you were in that sense?
Yeah, in a general sense, I think embarrassed about the way political leaders act. That I thought that they behaved in a different way, or I guess like it worked in a different way. I guess naively when I was younger, I thought like, okay, these are people that know what they're doing all of the time. And and I realized I'm a little embarrassed to admit that I found out that a lot of them are new and they're still learning. And that they don't always know what they're doing, I guess. And I think I was a little embarrassed to not think about that possibility. If that's the kind of question that you were looking for.
No, that is because like I feel like sometimes we have this, and maybe not related to this specifically, but I was having this very funny, I was having this conversation with my friend, and we were talking about like this is actually very not necessarily, it's a pivot basically. Me and my friend were going for a concert in like 2 weeks, and this specific artist, she was like, oh, I'm excited to see her like perform and everything. And we were kind of talking about it. And I was like, maybe if I see her perform, that might I don't know, and this is an artist I have a crush on, by the way. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get the ick but I see this person with this like this artist in person, and she's like, why? I'm like, maybe she'll be like too tall, maybe she'll be like too short or something. I don't know, like something. I might see the person, but I'm like, you don't look the same as in the picture, right? And then we just sat down, we started like Googling heights and everything, and we were shocked. And so I can get it from that person. I don't know. That's the first thing that kind of popped in my head when you said that, in the sense of like, you just kind of like watch movies, or like you see someone on TV, and then you kind of have a perspective of, oh, this person looks so intimidating. And then you check certain things, and you're like, oh, really?
No, they're just a
Yeah,
human.
yeah, just a human being like you. So I kind of get that from that sense. But also, like, I don't know, it's just really fascinating that you're like this young, and like, and I'm not even saying this young, I'm 26, so it's just probably 5 years apart. And like, but like, you're this young and you're trying to like do something this big or this important. Do you actually feel like we, as like the youth or the younger people, do you think we're really underrepresented, or just underestimated or appreciated in that sense?
I think both. I think underrepresented definitely at the ballot box.
Yeah.
There's definitely a problem where people want to be okay with the status quo in a little bit of thinking like there's nothing that I can do. We're underrepresented because we, I think, struggle to understand, or some people struggle to understand just how powerful a municipality can be in terms of what affects your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And we're also underestimated. I think a lot of people underestimate the capabilities of a young person, and how much energy and how much passion and drive they can have.
Yeah.
You can underestimate people a lot easier when you think that they are too young for something. And as soon as you disqualify somebody for just one reason,
Yeah.
they can really show you just how much they're capable of.
Yeah.
I think it's really both in different ways.
Yeah, and especially in our like generation, where we're out, I feel like we're probably the most outspoken generation, especially with the sense of we are not like we don't settle as much.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably like, as much as we all have our flaws, and we do have our flaws this generation, but I think the one thing that we're really, really upfront about is we're not settling. And I really like that. Like, I don't think we should settle for the lesser evil. I don't think we should settle for less than what we deserve. Yeah, because information is out there. We can see working societies. We can see societies that aren't working. We can see the ones that are working. So we can demand better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I ran too, because I was on the record as saying I want to make people uncomfortable, which can be taken the wrong way, but I want to make people uncomfortable because the moment you're comfortable is the moment that you start with apathy and not really looking how you can change things.
Yeah.
If you're too comfortable, then you kind of settle into a pattern where I think young people always are thinking, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Like, we can accept this, but what comes after this?
Yeah.
We like this change, and how can we build on it? Instead of saying, okay, yeah, we're comfortable with this.
Yeah.
It's about building a sense of just like restlessness in terms of looking for more progress.
No, and I hate that, really. I hate it when someone sits down and say, "Oh, well, it could be, it could be worse." I mean, yeah, it could be better too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is actually really, it's kind of like, it's a nice way to kind of like put things of, I think, yeah, we are underrepresented and underappreciated too. Yeah. But we'll move into my favorite part, which is the good. So this game is called Dilemma, and Jacob and I are gonna play. One of my team members is gonna recite two dilemmas, and me and Jacob would have to pick. Each of us would pick the one we would prefer, and we can kind of alternate. Maybe you could go first to the first one, and I can go first in the second one.
All right, sounds
Yeah,
good.
so we just kind of, yeah. So we'll see.
Okay, so a guaranteed comfortable life or a risky meaningful one?
Am I going first here?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with risky meaningful one.
Yeah.
If you're too comfortable, what's the point? I think having a risky meaningful life is a lot more important than just being comfortable.
Yeah.
It's kind of I think what a lot of people try to escape to in their later life if they have too much of a comfortable life.
Yeah. And for me, I would say the same, because I don't know. It's fun. It's more fun. The dopamine is high, unlike a risky one, because yeah, you don't know what's coming next, but you're learning as you go, which is nice. Yeah.
So next one, tell people what they need to hear, or tell people what they are ready to hear?
You gotta rip the band-aid off. You need to tell people what they need to hear instead of what they're ready to hear. If you just say what they're ready to hear, then you're not going to get anywhere. But
I mean, yeah, pretty much, pretty much. But then again, I don't know. I feel like sometimes people aren't ready for the truth, and maybe you have to dilute it a little and then proceed to the truth. Maybe build up to it. But I would say that's only in certain situations. But if you're saying from a general perspective, definitely what people need to hear.
There's a value to saying something raw, but there's also a value to, I guess, building up to it and contextualizing what you're saying. Because if you just say right away what you'd like to see happen and telling people what they need to hear, then they're not going to take it.
Yeah.
Part of it is, I guess, selling what you're saying.
Yeah. And also not even just selling, but also maybe empathy in the sense of like, if there's certain hard truths that I think it could kind of rip someone's world apart. When you kind of just throw it at them, and you have to kind of,
work with them and
work
build with
that.
them.
Yeah. So I
but
think
eventually that builds up to telling people what they need to hear. Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, guys, next one. Have influence without a title or have title without influence?
I don't think a title means anything if you don't have influence. I think a lot of people are in positions of power, but they don't actually have any influence in terms of what they are putting out there. I keep going first. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, like it's fine. It's really fine. It's not. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay,
it's fine.
You go.
No. Finish up.
Okay. Well, I think.
Oh, he empathized. It's fine.
I realize that I keep cutting you off, and this isn't right.
No, it's nice. It's fine. It's nice to see that because usually sometimes I'm culprit of doing that. So it's nice to have someone do it to me. It's really nice. So you go ahead.
Yeah, but I think influence and being an influencer, I guess would be the title. Is for sure important because you can influence change that you'd like to see and really build with people. But if you just have a title and no influence, then you're not really going to do much.
Yeah, I mean, it relates to the comfortable life at the end of the day. I think having a title without influence, I think a title without responsibility is just, I don't know. Yeah.
I guess relating it back to mayorship, I think the title His Worship has interesting ties in terms of, I guess, colonialism. And it's really unfortunate that it's still being used. I know some other municipalities are wearing it down, but I think, speaking about titles, I really prefer when I introduce myself, some people ask for my last name, but I like just saying Jacob. And I address people by their first name as well. The moment you go to last names, it feels a little impersonal.
It does feel impersonal. You start to think about things that maybe their family did before and stuff like that, in which it's probably not related to them at the moment. Yeah. So
win every argument or change one person's mind?
The narcissistic side of me wants to win every argument, but you know what? Do I want to win? I don't think I want to win every argument. I think I want to change one person's mind because I feel like if I win every argument, I don't think there'll be anything for me to learn. Yeah. I think with loss comes like reflection and then education and then, learning and everything. So yeah, maybe change one person's mind in this context.
Yeah, you said winning every argument. You didn't say that it actually affects change. You can win an argument and the person still walks away believing what they believe. But if you can, I guess, change one person's mind with the right skill set, which I've been fortunate enough to do, I think, a couple of times, and really get to know somebody is a lot more valuable for sure.
Okay.
Last one. Be a leader who's a smart or be a leader who's the best listener.
You can. I went twice in a row. You can go again.
So I would say best listener. I think a lot of times I feel like we get caught up in with action first and not listening. And I feel like some people just want to be heard. And like with hearing a problem, it gives importance to the problem. It gives importance to people's query or cry. And I think from there you can then make decisions, right? But like I think sometimes people don't listen. They just kind of think, oh, this is the problem from their perspective of what it is, rather than actually listening to what the actual problem is. And it's even leadership aside, I think just in general, even with friends too, sometimes they just need someone to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, I think a common problem in relationships is sometimes you, like any relationship, I mean,
Yeah.
you sometimes look to solve an issue and they're not looking to be
solved.
solved. It's just looking to be heard. I
Yeah.
think they're not necessarily mutually exclusive. I think
Yeah.
being a good listener is being really intelligent.
Yeah.
And being able to listen instead of just speak your mind first and letting the other person talk is really important.
Yeah, it is very important. Yeah, because like I think the feeling in the moment is what's the issue, and you need to hear the feeling before you know what to do next, right? Obviously, you're like you AI is in your purview, right? With AI now, I feel like a lot of people might not necessarily need to go to universities to a very high level, because I feel like the kind of universities we have in this day and age, it's very less practical and more, okay, we're
Okay.
feeding you a lot of information. And disinformation is already online. You could pay for a premium on an AI and learn this information, see this information yourself. Do you think that kind of helps with the gap in terms of experience between the older and the newer generation? Like where people are like, oh, you don't know this or you don't know that. And, you know, you have an 18-year-old now who probably already knows a lot about a topic just by just pure research alone.
Yeah. I think with anything, it depends on how you use it, which is kind of a non-answer, and I'm trying not to give a non-answer here, but it depends on how you use it, because AI can mean a lot of different things. It can mean the Grammarly that I use, or the spell check I use when I'm writing a document, or it can mean writing me a whole essay and a large language model. I think it depends on the person and how they're using it. Like you said, you can understand a lot, but as an English literature student, I guess my argument against that, and which I'm not completely agreeing with you, is that I think the right education teaches you how to digest that information that the AI is giving you. And if you're using it accurately and you're using it well, then it's a tool and it's not just, I guess, the work itself, if that makes sense. Like I could, again, write something and have an AI like Grammarly go over it and say, you missed a semicolon here. Or it might flow better if you rearrange this sentence, and then knowing how to rearrange that sentence so it's in your voice is really important. I think there's definitely a lot of issues around it, AI with art particularly, and the ability to get your own voice out there is important rather than telling an AI generate a poster for me. I think it's important to have a human element behind that, because then you're learning from it, and you don't really learn anything if you're asking the AI to do it. So it depends on how that, for example, 17-year-old is using it, because you can use it for research, but you also have to know how to digest that research and how to be skeptical of what it's giving you.
But like, do you even think like, because okay, I definitely feel like I understand your answer in the sense of like you're talking about more of the use of it and how you use it.
Yeah, and I guess more about the gap that I think it depends on how that person is using it, because an older person who's well adapted, it depends on how you, I guess, adapt and receive this new information. And it's more of an individual view rather than, I think, age. But I think younger people especially are going to be more on board with taking in new technology, because they understand that they're going to have to use it for longer, whereas perhaps older people have more experience and they're going to rely on that experience. But at the same time, if I'm comparing it to real life scenarios, Ford recently, I think, fired a lot of their staff. And they recently had to rehire them because they realized that AI failed to have that human element of actual experience. And they got their jobs back. I think that speaks to, I think, an issue about how AI is used in terms of age demographics, how potentially young people could take it too seriously and take it to take control over everything, when you should be able to contextualize it and use it and I guess filter it through your own mind.
Okay. And but like also like, and I want to tap into the student side of you right now. And like do you think there's also like, and I love dabbling in this gap thing a lot, but like do you think there's a disconnect between like what students are actually like doing right now in universities and what, like, you know, what the world actually asks of them, or like the job market actually asks of them?
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is for sure community work. And I mean, in terms of like understanding each other, of course, there's always the dreaded, and I dread it myself, if you get stuck with a partner in a group project that does not pull their weight. So nobody really likes doing group projects, but even if you do a group project that instructor or that professor is still grading you on your individual performance with that group. Whereas as you enter the workplace, you, I think, build an understanding with other people. And it's less of, you have obviously your individual expertise, but you also have to understand how to connect with other people and how they're, you can delegate that task and understand how they're an expert in that field and work together. And I think that's really a gap that some of my classes are fortunate enough to recognize and build upon. And I think Trent is, in the community aspect, better than other universities, but it's still for sure a gap that once you enter the workplace, you're thinking, okay, I know how to work as an individual. How do I work as a team member? I think the other aspect is, I guess, as a young person and you're applying for university, you don't really know who you are. And as you enter the workplace, you realize that maybe this isn't something you want to do, and you can pivot. And you work a couple months to this job that you just spent 4 years and tens of thousands of dollars on your education, or hundreds of thousands, and you realize, wait a second, if you don't have the experience, I guess, behind it, this isn't something that I actually would like to do. And I think that's where internships, particularly where you can work with other people, are valuable. But it's for sure, I think, a gap and a problem with, I think, building community.
Interesting. And speaking of like even working as a team, because I really like that, and I'd like to highlight that, right? Like with like working as a team and everything, and the the current, like, let's say government or Peterborough government and everything. How do you think about like the team in that city hall, and how like work is, like, the division of labor and everything? Do you think it, and as much as, like, we put a good amount of blame, rightly so, on the mayor for incompetencies and stuffs like that, like, what do you think about the team and how that system works? Do you think it's a system that needs to be changed in general? Do you think it's the individuals that needs to be changed, or what do you think about the system in general?
Both. I think there needs to be more consensus building and understanding both people and other counselors and where they're coming from. There's for sure an issue of counselors not being able to do that because it's a part-time job. I think I'd like to see counselors work full-time, 5 counselors instead of 10. And I would like to see more work on the counselor's behalf to generate more legislation rather than city staff. I think it's important for, of course, experts to consult, because everybody who's elected obviously isn't an expert in this field, but or their particular field. There's lots of different fields, but it's important to have an understanding of community. And I think right now it's a little sequestered. And you go there and you realize that they don't really reflect the views of Peterborough citizens. Or they're not really interested, in terms of recent procedural bylaw changes that shrunk the amount of delegates from 10 to 4, while also limiting that they have cell phones. Which I think, of course, it was put in place for reasons that could be justifiable, but at the same time, you have to understand that they're professionals. And as an educator or future educator myself, it reminds me of a classroom, and they're really professionals, and they're adults, and they need to be able to consult with their constituents, or have access to the outside world while they're actively advocating for it. And it speaks to a level of disconnect, I think, that it was such a big deal about their cell phones.
No, it is a disconnect, because I feel like right now, even like a lot of the staffs, even like, let's even leave the mayor aside, like even some staffs in the municipality government and everything, and like, there's this very with like individual problems, for example, like you mentioned you went door to door, which is actually very beautiful, like going door to door and actually hearing out loud from the horse's mouth what is the issue, rather than assuming what the issue is, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I feel like a lot of times they forget, like, or like they show concerns at first of, oh, what issues do you have, and they hear it, and then it just kind of goes in here and goes out of here, and it's forgotten. Like, it's more of like, oh, I'm listening to your problem, and then I really don't care about it after you say the problem, right? Why do you think is that? Like, I think it's, and I think it's more evident now, where you hear people cry and you listen to why they cry, and then you kind of throw it away.
I think it's like almost a level of apathy on the counselor's part. I think it happens, and you can see it if you go in person and if you watch the meetings. Some counselors aren't interested with the delegates a viewpoint at all, and they don't ask questions after they speak. And it's really shocking to see, because this person gives like a very passionate speech. They're very enraged about this issue, or they'd like to see like something change. And it goes around the table and nobody raises their hand or has a question for them, or even says thank you. And then they leave. And I think it speaks to a level of, I guess, separation from the outside world. You see counselors understand Peterborough in a different way than, or some counselors, I don't mean to disparage all of them. You see some of them understand Peterborough in a different way than you or I. That they think that solutions exist, and I guess they have their own bubble. And I think we need to pop that bubble. We need to change things. I'm not sure why. And I'm trying to investigate the why, I guess, about who or what made them do that. It might be that they, after so long, feel as though these people don't actually know what they're talking about, and they feel an apathy towards public opinion. But I think that's where the failure starts and the communication breaks down. I'd like to know why they, because they've been elected to do a job that they seem to be very occasionally, depending on the issue, not really passionate about. Or I guess in some cases, I was at a city council meeting and they were talking about a particular issue and they started yelling at each other. And while they were yelling at each other, I won't go into the exact details, I guess, of the issue, but it is public record. I was thinking, like, both staff and counselors are behaving in a way that doesn't really reflect the role that they're elected to do. And that it's not okay both for elected officials to yell at people who, or I guess, get enraged at the level they were, at people who don't really have a chance to speak up. But there's also not okay for the initial confrontation of city staff getting enraged at city councilors. And I think there's really a disconnect between staff and councilors on working together, because staffs may potentially see these councilors as just, oh, they're going to be here for 4 years
and go,
and they're just going to be the barrier, instead of these are the direct voices of people, and they represent thousands of constituents that would like to see change possible. Again, city staff are very important. I'd like to emphasize that, and their expertise is very valued. And their service to the municipality is very commendable, but it raises questions about how we can make sure that, again, shrinking it down to 5 and having them full time, that they can better represent and better advocate for the people.
And like, actually put all their time and effort into that, rather than like, divide this and see this as a part-time job and everything. That's a really good point. But I feel like up until this point, I've probably been the one kind of like throwing questions at you and throwing issues at you. Do you have any issue in your, do you have anything in your mind or in your chest you want to kind of like, any view you feel like you want to break? Maybe it's an unpopular view, maybe it is a popular view, maybe it's something you just feels like it needs more attention and you need people to hear it.
I guess I'll go with a popular view and potentially an unpopular one. I'll start with,
go ahead.
I think something that I hear every single time, going door to door, I knock on the door and I say, I'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions. That's pretty much how I canvass. I don't have any flyers. I don't spend or receive any money. So I just try to get people's opinions. And I say, what would you like to see change in Peterborough? And they go, whoa, that's a big question. Or they go, where do I begin? And those words kind of break my heart. The words, where do I begin?
Means there's a lot.
Really means that there's a lot. And they often start with the roads, which of course need to be fixed. And it's an infrastructure problem that Peterborough is not immune from. And more can be done to raise more money to do that. And through that money, you can address their second issue, which is homelessness. You talk to anybody and you ask them what they'd like to see changed. And they say either, I'd like to see something done about the downtown, or I'd like to see something done about the homelessness in Peterborough and people living without a home or using drugs. And Peterborough police are one of the few municipalities who actually does do something about open air drug use. And I tell that to them and they go, oh, well, I didn't know that. And part of it, going to door to door, is educating about civics and stuff. But I think it's important to recognize, I guess my view, if you're going door to door and you hear the same thing again and again, both from conservatives and left wing and right wing, and everybody's saying this, you have a consensus about something. You just need to work together on how to solve this issue. And the fact that more isn't being done, things are being done, and you have to recognize that. But the fact that it's not as big of an issue, I guess, as it is, speaks to the level of disconnect And you have to understand that some people that are homeless, unfortunately, due to mental health reasons, don't want help. And it's about reaching them. It's about understanding both sides and going from there, and understanding that it's not just a perception issue, which is something that I've heard a lot from people in positions of power, that it's a real issue. And that it relates, I guess, to what I hear a lot, which is the downtown. The second thing is potentially more of a controversial view, is allowing the downtown to thrive by increasing walking. And it's something that I'd like to talk about more, by having both Water and George slow down. It feels almost like I'm driving through it on the bus, like a freeway.
I am in for it. I'm in for that too, as a personal walker.
Yeah, expanding the sidewalk. Obviously, parking is an issue, and I intend to address parking, because you need to go there. But it'd be nice to park downtown, have two-way streets, both on Water and George, and increase walking. Well, you can park downtown and walk around, and make Peterborough downtown a destination where people want to go, not just for Peterborough citizens, but also people around Peterborough go, yeah, downtown, it's a beautiful place to go to. And that's at the top of their mind, instead of downtown Peterborough. I've heard people don't feel comfortable down there anymore.
Yeah, no.
And that's not a Peterborough that we should be comfortable with.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I think a lot of it is the disconnect. And whenever I think how you can reach people who potentially want harmful solutions done, or solutions that aren't really humane, you have to understand that they see Peterborough, and they see Peterborough in a broken state, and this is the Peterborough that they live in, and they don't like that. And that's why they are panicking, because it is a crisis where you're seeing people on the streets and thinking, that could be me. That's the same Peterborough that I'm living in, and this is not okay. And you need to understand that nobody is. I haven't come across a single person that's okay with the living conditions, I guess.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. And even on a simple level of, like, you're going downtown and you park, and, like, you have to, like, find parking. If you want to walk around, you have to find parking. And if you even park in a place for more than 5 minutes, you get a ticket. And I feel like that is one of the huge issues. I feel like even on weekends, when you're out and, like, the streets are empty, and you're like, it's sunny out.
At the very least, you need a grace period, or else people don't want to park downtown, because they know that they're going to get a ticket even while they're going to the parking meter. They're putting change on the parking meter, and then they come back and they have a ticket. And that just, again, they're going to fight that, of course. And that's more bureaucratic load on the city that doesn't need to exist.
And even the homeless people, and people that, like, and a lot of times people kind of misinterpret it as, oh, they made bad choices in life. And I feel like, probably a good amount of them did do, but a lot of them also didn't have a choice, or didn't also have a chance, or weren't given a chance. And it's kind of that situation. Like, if you're without a job for a while and you can't fend for yourself, you could get to that position. If you're in a situation where the city isn't safe enough, or your mental health is pushed to a certain perspective, you could run into drugs and be in the same position. So it's an issue where, I think sometimes with, homelessness, people kind of look at, which I think affordable housing is very important.
Absolutely.
But I also feel like people need to also look beyond affordable housing and look at the individual and say, hey, like, what is actually going on with you.
And you have to look at homelessness. People look at them, but they're mutually, or they're not, I guess, together all the time. Homelessness, drug addiction, mental health, like, problems, they are separate issues.
They are separate issues.
And some people don't realize that it could literally just be one bad week and you're on the streets.
You're on the street,
and you have nowhere to go, and you're panicked, and you need somewhere to live. And then that's somebody that's on the street that's asking for help. And it's the same person who was working a job just the other week and had an apartment, but they got evicted, or something happened, and their job, unfortunately, was going through a tough time and had to let them go. And it's scary with the cost of living that can happen so quickly.
Yeah, the cost of living is quite high now. Like, it's insane how expensive even moving houses is, or renting a house is now. And, like, it's and it's also, I think another thing that kind of, like, shocks me is I don't think there's enough, like, affordable housing in Peterborough. I feel like there should be enough affordable housing where you have hostels for people who can necessarily afford a huge space or a bigger space, but aside students, that is. I feel like students have that, but I also feel like adults probably need that to kind of get themselves off their feet and put themselves in that position also. But it's just a thought to kind of put out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Things need to Oh, you mentioned a hostel, and I think the tourism problem of Peterborough and getting people to spend their money in Peterborough is that they don't really have a place to stay.
Yeah.
There's limited hotels, and I guess not a comprehensive tourism strategy that thinks about Peterborough the way it is. And it said we kind of look to outside consultancy services when Peterborough can understand Peterborough for what it is. You and I can think of a couple places off the top of our head, and we can make a list and we can plan that instead of, I guess, spending more money on consulting.
Yeah.
Trying to change it.
Why should I accept something just because I was told it's true?
I know I probably need to
For me,
change, but it's harder than
I'm comfortable
people
with
make it
how
sound.
things are right now. Maybe there's a better way.
Part of the I'm going to address, but I just want to, I guess, start my conversation here. I don't know if you've seen the PSA where it's a whole bunch of people saying, don't vote. Like, it's older people saying don't vote because we have the time to. We don't want you to vote. I forget the exact words they used, but it was pretty much, I guess, convincing people to vote by saying don't vote. I'm forgetting the word for that. You're ready. If you're young, you're ready. You're capable. If you believe that things should change, you should be a part of that change. I think being active means recognizing things that you'd like to see change and not just saying and accepting things the way they are. Being young means that you can shake things up. You can exist in an environment that you want to build. A lot of people complain about not having third spaces or having spaces that you can go to. You can build those spaces. You can be a part of that. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. You exist in an environment that is inherently political. You step outside, you are political. You breathe the air, you're political. You walk on the sidewalk, you are political. That is a decision that has been made because you either voted or did not vote. You got involved and you spoke up, or you stayed silent. Things are going to happen with or without you. It's whether you're there and are part of that. Would you rather accept things the way they are or be a part of it is the question you want to ask. Yeah. But you have to understand that the world is changing and we can be a part of that change. The problems facing us right now are fixable. It will not be easy. It will not be quick, but it can be done. The problem, I think, facing us right now is that we believe it is hopeless. Our vote does not mean anything. It does mean something. If enough of us get together, you can be a part of that change. I think building community starts with you. You can't expect somebody else to step up. You can't expect somebody else to tell you how it is. You can go get a friend, tell them, I'd like to see this park have a swing. Tell them, get a friend, tell them, I don't like the way this particular thing in my neighborhood is working. Go to an event, start conversations, challenge people, challenge your own worldviews, get out there and experience life. I think it's important to care. And I think that's why I'm running. And I'm leading by example. I'm not just saying you should care, go out there and do something. It's ridiculously easy to get involved. I think it was 25 signatures and it's free. I gave $200 deposit and I will get that $200 deposit back. All it took was talking to people, getting out there. Yeah. You can be a part of the change and it's a lot easier than you think it is.
Those were really beautiful answers. I think definitely kind of I had my perspective of like politics, and it's not just in Peterborough, but in general, but definitely I have a few things I've probably learned today from answers you've given me, and also kind of like your perspective or your approach to the questions I asked, or, we've kind of talked about in general today. With that, I think we'll kind of wrap up the episode. And I don't know, I just got lost in everything. I didn't tell you guys to subscribe, but please subscribe. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like I've been saying this for the past 6 episodes. So if you want to do it, do it. If you don't, then yeah, get out.
Building community is part of subscribing.
Yeah, just subscribe. I don't know. It's I've been asking nicely, but I'll still ask nicely because I'm a nice guy. But please like, share, subscribe. Please follow Jacob and his journey running for mayor. I'm gonna link every social media platform he has, which relates to his campaign or everything. Please follow. Even if you agree, you don't agree with what he's saying, I think you could learn something from what he's putting out there. So, and I think with everything he said so far, he's spoken about everybody having like kind of like the freedom to make their own decisions, and whether you like what he's campaigning for or not, I think you got to respect the fact that he's put himself out there to make a change. And with that, It was really nice to chat with you
Nice
today.
talking with you too.
Yeah, and this was a bit more, maybe a bit more serious than what we're kind of used to here, but I really liked it. I really enjoyed this. And yeah, I'll see you guys in a few days on our next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Cheers. Awesome, guys.
Yeah, I'm fine. I don't see. It was good. Yeah, I took small bites because I didn't want to just be munching on camera. But
Yeah, I mean,
Don't help yourself.
what
Yeah.
you need to do is get people to eat corn dogs. It never looks good whenever somebody eats a corn dog.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone eat a corn dog
No,
or
I-
even
I
a hot
think-
dog properly before.
It was. I think what came to mind was JD Vance recently said, "Yeah, I never want to eat a hot dog or a corn dog on camera. It never looks right." He was weirdly defensive about it. I
Yeah.
guess and it's like, well, you can eat on camera,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
guess being that heavily publicized,
Yeah.
you can probably get an unflattering photo.
Yeah.
Actually, whoever wants to seem like charismatic, they don't get in front of a camera at all.
Yeah,
So
maybe-
this breaks me down a wall. Yeah.
yeah.
Real leaders do.
Yeah. I think building a
Politicians,
building a false presentation of yourself is part of being a politician, but it isn't the right part of being a politician.
Yeah. I
I've
mean, you need to show everything. I think people need to kind of see the good, the everything, the uncomfortable parts too. Like they can't see a facade of what you think, because they have to relate too, right? So
But yeah, affordable housing is like probably one of the number one things I hear.
yeah, it's bad.
There's Peterborough's not immune. Like that's the thing. A lot of it is, I guess, provincial delegating, and it's it's not really the municipality's responsibility,
Yeah,
but it's being placed on the municipality, and it's just a burden.
yeah,
But you have to, I guess, take the cards you dealt with and argue for better ones if you need to.
Mhm.
But it's affordable housing, the roads, and homelessness is the three things I hear all the time. And
Yeah.
it's
Side note, Jacob.
yeah.
I'm always wondering if it's people that need to ignite actually the emotion about changing things, or is it always coming from top to be effective? Which one is true? Or both are true?
I'm not
Which
sure
one
I
is
quite
it?
understand the question.
I want to make a change.
Yeah.
Do I need to make my local government start that change, or can I do something for it?
I
as
think
an
it's both.
individual or not? And
I think,
how?
yeah, I think it's obviously depends on the context.
Yeah,
but-
it depends on the context.
Yeah.
But in a general idea, people say that government should do that, local government should do that, mayor should do this. Okay, in every aspect, they expect somebody to take care of things, not themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, what people around the world do to resolve this issue, if it's an issue? What do you think about?
I mean, with major issues, I think it always has to start at the personal level.
Right.
If you expect everything to come from the top down, it's never going to come.
Mhm.
I think it's a complicated thing because you can't also say we can just decide to do this and it'll happen, because you need the people in positions of power to also go along with it. But it all starts with the people, and that's how a
Yeah.
democracy should work.
Mhm.
But I think maybe that's changed recently
Right.
in terms of, I guess, the expectations.
Right.
I think the common saying whenever you have a kid is it takes a village.
Yes.
But I think that just goes with community in general, and people don't realize that it taking a village to do anything, the village being a community, I guess, in this context, would mean that you have people who want to help, and it's about igniting passion with the individual first.
Want to help. Okay.
And
People who want to help.
Yeah.
Let me pause you for that. People who want to help, do they have motivation? Enough motivation to do that? Should we do something as other individuals in the community to make them motivated, to show them what's the cause?
it's a mix of, I think, speaking to them and understanding their issues and what they would be motivated about, and also making it available. because I've spoken to a lot of action groups, and they say we want to be a part of the change. We want to be a part of the progress, but we don't have the doors open to do that. And that's why I say it's a complicated issue, because you can say we want change as a community action group, and we're pushing for this. And then you go to the smaller meetings that city council has, say for environmental issues, and you don't really get anywhere because they're not taken seriously or the doors are closed. It's really about community and government working together, I think.
Yeah, that's part of it. I would like to emphasize on,
So this one,
something
you
in this
pick one.
interview as
So you
well.
just mentioned both of you. You pick
Maybe
one.
bureaucracy. I know that as a system, local governments are huge. They should not be.
Bureaucracy bloat is a major issue in Peterborough as well.
Yes.
I think making more democratic change possible means that you're shrinking the council from 10 councillors, 1 mayor, to 5 councillors, 1 mayor, and making them full-time, so that you're not only saving money because you're paying them full-time and having less of, I guess, several part-time. You can instead condense that, and potentially through that full-time position, you can eliminate the need for a larger bureaucracy. As much as people in city staff are experts and they're very qualified people, you have to understand that they're not the elected officials and they didn't have the mandate of the people,
Right.
which I think is a problem if you ever have the opportunity to watch city council meetings. It's an interesting dilemma of, is the dog wagging the tail or is the tail wagging the dog here?
Right.
And it's something that people have leaned over while I'm watching the meeting, saying, which is it? And I go, well, right now it looks like it's the tail wagging the dog, which isn't really how it should be done.
Yeah.
Nice idea, nice writing. I would like you to ask him about this, follow up this discussion. It's nice at the end, maybe, if you had some room. The key thing is about systematic view. Okay, the system thinking out of this. I know, I actually want to know how Jacob thinks about the whole municipality, town hall system as components. What are the key components in there? How they are interacting with each other.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I have answers ready for that for sure.
Yeah, you can elaborate on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll discuss that towards the end, and then.
Do you mind if I get up and stretch my legs for a second? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like if I sit too long, my legs are going to start
Yeah.
twitching.
Just get dead. Yeah. It's necessary. Yeah.
Same as well.
Okay.